Businessman Seth Trimble has me nervously eating ice cream over here, trying to calm my nerves ahead of game one of the Bill Belichick era. It's finally here.
This is Tyler Zeller, and you're listening to Locked On Tar Heels.
You are Locked On Tar Heels, your daily podcast on the UNC Tar Heels. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, what's up? It is Monday, September 1st, 2025. Happy Labor Day. Happy first day of the Carolina football season. Let's go. Welcome into the Locked On Tar Heels podcast, the only daily North Carolina show out there. I'm your host, Isaac Schade. You're joining me at the place to get your Tar Heels content every single day. It's all part of the Locked On Podcast Network. I want to thank you so much for making us your first listener watch to get your Monday going the right way. Hopefully a holiday for you. Oh, by the way, and you're not working like I am. Special shout out to all the everydayers here with us, all the great members of the Locked On Tar Heels Discord. By the way, you should join that right now so you don't miss out tonight as we're talking all throughout the game. Honestly, we're talking all day long, all day anyway, but come join us, be there tonight. And also, we want to welcome all the great members of the Locked On Tar Heels Insiders. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Y'all, coming up on the show today, Seth Trimble got me eating ice cream over here. What a nice little excuse. Thank you, Seth. No, I never eat ice cream usually. Not at all. I don't love it so much. Football-wise, want to zoom out and go big picture on the game in the Belichick era today. That's what we're going to do. There's been enough pre-discussion on the game and this and that and X's and O's and all this. And so, man, that's what we're going to do today is just really hone in on that. Talk about how, today's a bad day for the Bill Belichick will never coach a game at Carolina crowd. We'll do that. I want to also talk about how this game should not be a referendum on the Bill Belichick era. It's one game. However, it is the only game today, and so that's really cool. There's literally no other FBS game. We will be going live right on our YouTube channel tonight after the game. I don't care how late it is. I don't care if Carolina wins by 50 or loses by 50. We will go live. Come hang out. Also, wrapping up the show, we will have our weekend whip around, looking at all the other action in Carolina athletics this weekend. All right. I want to start off talking about this Seth Trimble being an owner at Ben & Jerry's news. Did you see this over the weekend? Seth put it out on his Instagram on Sunday. Inside Carolina's Jeremiah Holloway had a nice article write-up about it, did an interview with Seth at the Ben & Jerry's. But the news from Seth is that, quote, he is now an owner of the Ben & Jerry's store on Franklin Street. Man, this is so cool. And so I just, look, what a great excuse to bring ice cream to the podcast. For those of you listening, I'm about to take a bite of ice cream right now. Oh, yeah. Man, I love ice cream. It's just vanilla bean, but it's so good. Okay. In a weekend where there's so much cool stuff going on, I love just everything happening with Carolina athletics. And I want to talk about several of those things, but I want to start with this as part of that, right? Like, in the hubbub of all the excitement and the lead up to the Bill Belichick era kicking off, here's Seth Trimble, man, out here doing his thing. I cannot imagine the number of football patrons he's going to serve on this first weekend, right? Like, it's so cool. This is the example of what NIL ought to be. Student athletes should be able to benefit off their name, image, and likeness. And because of the sport Seth Trimble plays, because of his role on the team in that sport that he plays, Seth Trimble is very well compensated. That period, right? Like that is the good side of NIL. He's able to benefit from those things. But now he's able to turn around and invest in something else. This is another part, to me, of the great part of what NIL is. Look, I'm sure Seth has used money from NIL on buying things for himself and doing other stuff, but this is next level NIL engagement, and it is so savvy. And I'm not saying it in a way of like Ben & Jerry's ice cream is doing an NIL deal with Seth. I'm saying I love the fact that he is utilizing what he's made through NIL to then invest in this. Invest in Ben and Jerry's, invest in his own future, reinvest in the Chapel Hill community, as Seth talked about. All of these kind of things, man. This is great. This is next level and is crazy savvy from Seth and all those around him, instructing him and spurring him on, including his mentor, who he talks about in that article. Seth, and a big part of this for Seth, beyond just how cool it is him recognizing, as he said in the article to Jeremiah Holloway, quote, "I know that the ball doesn't dribble forever," end quote. Meaning, at one point in my life, all this athleticism you got, all my capability that I have as a basketball player, it won't always be there. So I need to start creating things now that will be there, even when the ball stops bouncing, is what he's saying. It's so smart of him. It's so future proofing of Seth. He goes on to say, he actually said this in his Instagram post, "I am honored," quote, "to reinvest in the community that has given so much to me," end quote. And when you think about not just Seth, but his family, with JP being here those years ago, and his family having now been around Carolina for so long, his sister a student at North Carolina, it's crazy how much this family is now invested in this community. And Seth, who, yes, entered the transfer portal ahead of last year, but ultimately came back, decided this was where he needed to be. And I love that. And I it's just part of this era, right? There doesn't need to be any, but Seth tried to, dude, this is home for Seth. And this is just another moment to continue to prove that and solidify and cement that. No, he obviously doesn't have to stay in Chapel Hill to own this Ben and Jerry's, right? But it is something that continues to cement him to that Chapel Hill community, and that's phenomenal. And so, man, this is so neat. It's so good for Seth, for the community, for other student athletes watching, thinking, how can I utilize what I'm making well? Here's a great example for you, man. This is great. Speaking of enterprising Tar Heel basketball players, apparently there are rumors. I haven't had it 100% confirmed, but when there's smoke, there's fire, that MJ is going to be at the football game tonight, his Royal Airness. And so that should be neat. I was trying to think back to, obviously there was the ceiling is the roof, but that was at a basketball game halftime with Larry Fedora and stuff. That wasn't actually at a football game. But anyway, that would be great. I mean, just again, how crazy the scene is made all the crazier because his Royal Airness would be in attendance. And I mean, you just continue to think of everything going on with Carolina athletics surrounding this weekend. And specifically on the basketball side, Adam Lucas wrote a great article over the weekend about, I think he called it Family Time or something like that. I forget the exact title of the article, but the guys, it's Labor Day weekend. A lot of people could go home, do other stuff. The guys showed up Saturday morning, Adam writes, ready to scrimmage and hang out and play. And you got all the Carolina vets there. Obviously, I'm guessing a lot of them are in town because they're wanting to go to this football game. But, I mean, you see Armando Bacot, you see Drake Powell, and you see Harrison Ingram and Cormac Ryan and all these guys, some getting run in, some not. But, man, so important for them to continue to come and invest in the current flock, in the current team, right? Like you saw pictures and videos last week when they were gathered together with Coach Davis, standing off in the background in uniform, ready to go, is Luke May, right? Like those kind of things matter. And another big important thing is, man, around football games is a great time to bring in recruits, high school recruits. And so two key ones, and we've been talking about these recruiting visits leading up all summer, but now it's here. Darren Rippey Jr. and Tony Bryant, two of the guys in the class of 26, both top 20-ish kind of guys. From more recent reporting, it sounds like Carolina is a very long shot with Tony Bryant. But, man, Darren Rippey is a point guard that I hope Carolina continues to pursue heavily and hopefully has a legitimate shot to land, because I think he could do so much for this Tar Heels team. Could be great. So there you go. Visits in town, man. If you see those guys around, shout them out. Let them know how much Carolina wants them. I said it earlier, but it is a bad day today for the Bill Belichick will never actually coach a game at UNC crowd. It's here, and it's a brand new era. I'm going to take one more bite of ice cream, and then I'll tell you all about it. Coming up in just a second. Right after I tell you about the game cap. Quick question for all you college football fans out there. If you could go back in time and sit front row at your school's biggest rivalry game, what hat would you be wearing? Yes, I said hat. For me, it would be the game. These aren't just hats. They're the same vintage styles that fans wore back in the 80s and 90s. 90s as I was coming up, because I'm an old head, right? This hat I'm wearing, the game has these look at this guy, man. This is rad. I almost sported this one on the show today, and like a white version of the Carolina blue hat that I'm wearing. I like this one. It's also got the NC logo on the back, man. Really. Oh, I'm hiding it with the tag there. If you're listening to this, just trust that I'm showing some really cool hats from the game cap. Man, these just are so cool. And here's what's neat about it. Not only is it like these vintage from the 80s and 90s, they still go for the same price that they did back then. When you use code Locked On, you will get your vintage hat for just $16.99. That's like a steal in this day and age. So head to thegamecaps.com, grab your team's classic bar or retro circle design, and use code Locked On for an exclusive discount, because legends wear the game. This episode is also brought to you by our friends at Game Time. College football is back tonight for the Tar Heels, and I couldn't be more excited. The tailgates, the rivalries, man, the energy there at Keenan, there's just nothing like it. But let's be real. Actually getting tickets can feel like more of a battle than the actual game itself. Endless lines, hidden fees, prices jumping up at checkout, and that's why you got to use Game Time, the app that gives the advantage back to you, the fans. It's the easiest way to score last-minute tickets at the best prices with no surprise fees. What you see really is what you pay. Pull up Game Time, just a couple of taps, you can find amazing deals. Honestly, it's faster, it's cheaper, and less stressful than any way I've bought tickets. So there's still tickets for tonight. I literally just looked right before I recorded. Zone deals can get you in for as cheap as $64, or if you want to actually pick your ticket, I found that as cheap as $85. To say you were at the first Bill Belichick game? Come on, man. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off. Terms apply. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Game Time today. I want to talk about this historic day for Carolina athletics. As we get into doing that, though, I want to remind you, I've said this last week, I just have an important request from you, or for you, from Locked On. We want to hear from you. We've put together a survey to learn more about our listeners and viewers and make our favorite podcasts for you even better. This is your chance to tell us what you like, what you don't like, and answer questions about our advertising. So go to lockedonpodcast.com/survey to get started. Everyone who completes the survey will be entered for a chance to win one of 10 $100 Amazon gift cards. Again, that's lockedonpodcast.com/survey. You can also find the link in the show notes. There's a QR on screen. You can scan a bunch of great ways to find it. Really want to thank you for helping us out with that really cool stuff. All right. I said it in the teaser, but today's a bad day for the Bill Belichick will never coach a game at Carolina crowd. And that crowd was coming in strong and hot back in December when Coach Belichick was hired. A lot of people had those takes to fire off, right? Like, oh, as soon as that buyout goes down, he's out. As soon as blah, 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 NFL, this and that. And look, yeah, I mean, I guess technically he still hasn't coached the game yet as I'm recording this, and hopefully as you're listening to or watching this, but he's gonna. Come on, man. Did you really think that, or was that just the convenient thing to say at the time because everyone else was saying it? Man, it's crazy. And today truly is the beginning of a new era for Carolina athletics. Because after all the hoopla of this offseason, After all the frenetic recruiting of December, all the wondering who would actually be on the coaching staff, all the wondering if Belichick would ever coach a collegiate game. Yes, all the Jordan Hudson stuff, all the personnel coming in and going out to the tune of 70 new players ultimately on this roster. After all of that, what a crazy offseason it's been. Oh, by the way, after all that, it's time. There is actual football to be played. It's the first game for Bill Belichick at North Carolina. Heck, it's the first college football game for Bill Belichick as head coach, period. Oddly enough, after 333 NFL wins, he's got a big fat goose egg at this level. Legitimately, as Coach Williams would say, Coach Belichick and Miss Wanda have the same amount of college football head coaching wins. Same as me. Zero. None. It is the first game for the self-identified 33rd NFL franchise. This is where it starts. And there's been all of this distraction, all of this media circus. And you know what? If we're being honest, that's exactly how Coach Bill Belichick wants it. Not that he wants to deal with all of that and process it and all the hoopla, but like a crafty musician, he's saying, hey, look over here. See this? I'm shaking my hand. And you're so worried about his hand shaking, aka Jordan Hudson, or he didn't sign, whatever news you want to make up, media. Hey, I'm over here doing all this. The diversion of all of that off-field noise turns your attention away from the actual football. And the less attention anybody pays to what North Carolina is actually doing on the football field, the happier Bill Belichick is, because you don't know anything that he's going to do when he comes out on the field with his team tonight. I mean, legitimate. Like, they're not going to do this, but they could come out in the triple option and run it Paul Johnson style all night, right? Like, who knows? That's Bill Belichick. He wants to operate in the dark. He wants you to look right while he's working to the left. That's Bill Belichick, man. So this whole crazy offseason in some ways has been good for Bill Belichick, because he's like, good, y'all pay attention to all that. Cool. I might even hype it up a little bit, because I'm going to go over here and focus on football while y'all just mess around with that crap and don't pay attention to what me and my team are doing and my coaching staff. Now, ultimately, I'm going to continue to ask the question, the one that I've been asking. Is this enough time for the Bill Belichick effect to take root, for Bill Belichick DNA to imprint itself on this team? And by that, I mean, has it been enough time in number of days? Have they had enough days together to get to his level of detail necessary? I also mean the difference between the time allowed with a collegiate football team versus do whatever you want with your NFL team. Has there been enough time to figure out how to adjust and still get what you're looking for when you don't get as much time? Enough time in terms of turnover. I already referenced it, but this team has 70 new players on it. Has that been enough time to let every individual and the cohesion of all those individuals come together as a cohesive Bill Belichick, hyper detailed football team? For example, conditioning. They've talked so much about it. Like Jordan Shipp has talked a lot about, like, good grief, this is crazy. So much have been made of the condition Carolina is in as compared to other programs. But ultimately, is there really something to that? Or is that just the same thing you hear year after year after year from everyone, from every athlete ever? I'm in the best shape of my life, right? Like, how many off seasons have you heard that statement from an athlete? Is Carolina truly in wild condition compared to the rest of the nation? Because I feel like I've heard about that a lot. And maybe we learn that answer tonight. Maybe we learn that answer in November when other teams are breaking down and Carolina is hopefully in better condition than everyone else. We'll see how true that is. And at the end of the day, I keep asking myself, and maybe you have as well, and I'll ask you now, where will this journey that begins tonight with Bill Belichick's first game ultimately take Carolina athletics? Yes, football, but at Carolina athletics. Will there be new football success at either higher and or more sustained levels? Will Carolina ultimately be in a new conference, right? Like, obviously, we've heard all along that Carolina is this desirable entity, but so much of that is because of basketball and so many of the other sports that Carolina is so high level at, a couple of which we'll talk here in just a minute in the other segment. But can football raise up and match that and make them even more desirable as an entity to go to a different conference if that's needed? Well, this journey will take us, I don't even have to ask this question, to a new AD. That starts next year. But what all will that AD do? Will there be a new basketball arena? Will it be at Carolina North? What's that all going to look like? This journey will ultimately take us to this new era of collegiate athletics. It's just so much stuff. And it feels like tonight is the starting point of so much of that. And I don't know where it's going to ultimately lead, but I'm really interested to see the journey. And I'm interested, by the way, to take you along on that journey with me, my dear listeners and watchers. So come on, man, and let's make it and let's have fun with it, right? Now, speaking of which, tonight's game, despite all of this buildup that we've all been through since Bill Belichick was hired back in December, it's just that one uno football game. Let's do everything we can to make not too much of it. All right. We'll try our best at least. All right. That plus the weekend whip around all coming up in just a second. Right after I tell you about Rougiette. Guys, you've probably heard of Viagra or Cialis. Maybe you've even tried them out. But if you're looking for something beyond the usual pill, it's time for you to meet Rougiette Ready, which is a next-gen prescription treatment designed to amplify arousal in the brain and boost blood flow. Unlike the usual pills that can take hours to kick in, Rougiette's 3-in-1 formula dissolves under your tongue and kicks in fast, on average in 15 minutes. Effects can last up to 36 hours, so you can stay confident and in control for when that moment is just right. If traditional options haven't worked for you, Rougiette might be the answer. Over 150,000 men have already made that switch. It's completely online. Rougiette connects you with a board-certified doctor and ships your treatment discreetly and directly to your door. So head to Rougiette.com/LockedOnCollege and use code LockedOnCollege to get 15% off today. Again, that's Rougiette, RUGIET.com/LockedOnCollege and use promo code LockedOnCollege for 15% off. Individual results may vary with prescription treatment. Compounded drugs are permitted to be prescribed under federal law, but are not FDA approved and do not undergo FDA safety, effectiveness, or manufacturing review. Please visit the Rougiette website for full safety information. One other big picture thing I want to say about tonight's game, game one, just this game itself. This game, this one game, is not and should not be a referendum on the Bill Belichick era at North Carolina. And I mean that in the same way that Saturday's performance for Texas and Arch Manning at Ohio State should not be a referendum on Arch Manning. Here's what I mean. There's been all this buildup for Arch Manning and him stepping in and everything that he's going to be and do, right? Like we all have seen it and heard it. And there's some parallels to what we have been through as Carolina people in the lead up to the Bill Belichick era. But because things didn't go great, which is maybe putting it kindly, for Texas on Saturday, there's immediately a rush. Like before it was even halftime, I was seeing it, man, of like, I knew it. He's a backup. Oh, he's only getting stuff because his last name, whatever. And maybe many of you out there said that yourselves. And that's fine. But what I'm saying is, I'm not willing and ready yet to pan Arch Manning. Because considering the context, this dude is making his first start on the road ever, throwing his first pass on the road ever. And it's at the reigning national champion Ohio State Buckeyes, who have a strong defense, are known for their defense, and working to mess you up. And I know the pushback is, yeah, okay, but Arch is supposed to be the dude. He should be able to overcome that. Okay, maybe so. But let's give it a couple weeks before we say he's washed and he's a career backup and those kind of things. I say all that to say, treat tonight the same way. If Carolina struggles in the first half or isn't like walking up and down the field or running up and down the field, scoring and scoring and scoring. Can we just not rush to say everything is jacked up and messed up and Bill Belichick can't do this? And I know people are going to do that, right? Like I'm screaming into the wind and it's not going to matter. I'm screaming into the void and no one cares. But the temptation is going to be to make tonight more than we should. And I mean that for good or for bad. But it's just one game. If tonight goes awesome and Carolina just absolutely trounces TCU, let's not suddenly rush to saying, oh, Carolina's about to win a national championship for the next 5 years in a row. Conversely, if Carolina gets trounced 50-0 by TCU at home, can we just hold off a couple games, a season? Like this is a staff that was put in place after the initial portal opened that was way behind on recruiting. And yes, they brought a bunch of people in, but it was frantic and hectic at times. You can go read about it on ESPN right now. I got a great article up about the hectic first months of the Belichick era. And I confess myself, it's going to be a temptation to want to get off takes, good or bad, after this game tonight. But let's just hold back. And it's funny, like when you think about it, people already have their stories written, their tweets typed out, their Facebook posts ready to send, and you don't even have to see the game. You've already written it out. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But again, win or lose, tonight does not have to be a referendum on the Bill Belichick era because, again, one game. So I'm going to caution myself and you and everybody else, same thing I just said. Let's go on this journey together. Let's ride it. But you know what? Keep some receipts because you might need to pull those back out sometime soon. We'll see what happens with it. All right, very quickly before we get out of here, the weekend whip around, Project 28. Let's start with some soccer. Women's soccer, we talked about it on Friday's show, but on Thursday, they won 4-0 against UNCG. On Sunday, yesterday, they won 4-1 against Milwaukee. Nice stuff from the ladies, just to get some confidence after those two SEC losses. Men's soccer, we talked about, had beaten Evansville on Thursday 2-0. They play tonight at College of Charleston, 6 p.m. Eastern on Flow College. Sorry, men's soccer team, you're being sent off and you don't get to watch the first Bill Belichick game in person. Whoops. Field hockey. Woo-hoo-hoo-hoo. Aaron Matson's club is number 2 preseason. They went up to Iowa City, the home of Iowa, for the ACC Big Ten Challenge, where they played number 7 Michigan on Friday and number 15 Iowa on Sunday. Combined score, Carolina 7, Michigan and Iowa 1. That's right. Friday, Carolina beat Michigan, number 7 in the nation, 3-0. And then on Sunday, Carolina, true road game at Iowa. They played both of these games on Iowa's field, beat Iowa at home. They're number 15, 4-1. That's convincing, man. Aaron Matson's crew is up and running again, and I'm absolutely here for it. Volleyball was in Conway, South Carolina this weekend. That's where Coastal Carolina is. They played both Maryland and Coastal Carolina. Maryland on Saturday beat them 3-1. Coastal Carolina on Sunday, same score. Tar Heels, love it. Let's go, ladies. 2-0, getting going this season. And then finally, we had for cross country the Charlotte opener in Concord, North Carolina. This was Carolina, it was Charlotte, and it was Queens. So you're imagining I should tell you that Carolina was first in both of those because, again, Charlotte and Queens, but the Tar Heel men were not. Unfortunately, they finished in second. Although Aiden Neal won the race, Max Murphy got third, but Charlotte finished in second, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, and eighth. And so just kind of ran away with it. In fact, that eighth place finisher didn't even count because you only get the top 5. And so there's that. The Carolina women, though, did win, 5th straight time winning this season opening Charlotte opener, dominated, finishing 1, 2, and 3. And all 5 of their scores that counted finished in the top 10. So really good stuff there from the ladies. And, guys, we'll get it going. All right. Okay, you guys, football game tonight. I cannot believe it's here and it's happening, but the energy of a live show afterwards is so epic and so massive. Make sure you come join us live on YouTube about 10 to 15 minutes after the game ends tonight. Final whistle, win or lose. We'd love to see you there. I'll post the link in our Discord. I'll put it out on social media. And obviously, if you're subscribed on YouTube and you hit that bell notification, it'll let you know when we're getting ready to go live. So that's a good way to do it as well. All right, guys. Speaking of which, if you haven't subscribed on YouTube, do it. If you haven't subscribed on your favorite audio platform, do that as well. If you've not joined the Locked On Tar Heels Discord, man, honestly, you're missing out. We'd love to have you. The link is in the show notes. Come on in, chat away. It's great. If you want to go deeper with the show, the Locked On Tar Heels Insider Program, I would love to see you as part of that. It's a great thing. Lots of perks. Just sent out some last minute ticket things from somebody to our insiders. They got first dibs on all of that, man. If you want stuff like that, come join the insiders. Would love to include you in it. Going to be another fun week of shows. Can't wait for you to be a part of all of that. But join us tonight. Make plans for that. Stay up late, get your nap in, whatever you need to do. All right. It's always a great day to be a Tar Heel. We'll talk tonight. But until then, peace.